How's it going today, guys? So today we're going to teach you how to change a fuel pump and a fuel filter on an 03 Chevy Malibu. So first off, we diagnosed the vehicle. Easy way to tell if it's a fuel pump issue, there's a couple easy ways. If it's not starting, you can take off your intake boot here and you can spray some starting fluid in there, and if it starts to run off your starting fluid, usually it's a fill issue. Another way you can tell is right down here. I don't know if you can see it. On the fill rail, there's a Schrader valve. You can usually push that Schrader valve. It's just like a little valve stem for your tire. You can push that on there, and if it sprays out fuel, then you somewhat got fuel pressure. If it doesn't spray out any fuel, then obviously you have no fuel pressure. So we went ahead and we've diagnosed this vehicle. There is no fuel pressure, and it did start off starting fluid. So we know that it is a fuel pump. So today we're going to go ahead and show you how to remove the fuel tank, and then just knock out the fuel pump real quick, put it back in, and then replace the fuel filter. So anytime you do a fuel pump, you want to replace the fuel filter. A lot of times the part stores will make you replace the fuel filter as part of the warranty for the pump. So we'll roll under here and we'll get started. So getting started with the fuel pump replacement on a 03 Malibu. These are going to be the tools that you're going to need. You're going to need a needle nose pliers, crescent wrench, a hammer, a pair of wire crimpers, a pair of wire strippers, a torch for your heat shrink butt connectors, a Phillips screwdriver, and a ratchet with an extension. You're going to need a 10mm and a 13mm. That is all the tools needed to swap out the fuel pump in an 03 Malibu. Alright, so first things first, what you're going to do is you're going to get the car jacked up in the air. We use the rear cross member here. Always use jack stands. Put some jack stands up and underneath there for safety. And then I still always like to leave the jack there just as another safety precaution. Sometimes it gets in the way, but I'd rather have it there than not. So first off, we're just going to come up in here, locate your fuel tank. Usually it's got two straps that hold it up. And up in there is the strap bolts. Those are 13mm. So we're going to go ahead and start removing those. And then right here is your filler neck. Right there. And make sure you undo that so you can get the tank down. And that's a flathead screwdriver. So I'm going to go ahead and pull those real quick, and we'll get back with you here in a second. So we went ahead and got the tank out. That only took about 3 minutes. Wasn't bad at all. There was one more little bolt up there. It was a 10mm bolt that held the end of the heat shield on there, and it was part of the strap. So just went ahead and undone that real fast as well. So next step is we just got to unhook all the hoses off the fuel tank to go to the fuel pump. You're going to have one wire harness right here, and that's the power to your fuel pump. Oh, looks like there's two on this one. So this one is power for the fuel pump, one is power and stuff for your sending unit. Alright, so on this other clip for the sending unit, there's a little safety clip that I couldn't see, so I just rotated the fuel pump over a little bit. Get that safety clip removed, and then we'll be able to pull this connector off. Simple and easy. So these other lines, you're going to have these two right here, and they just go to the evap system. So the connectors are going to be right up there. And you're going to have this one here, which is your pump out. And then you'll have a vent plug right there. Those are pretty simple, easy clips as well. They're just like pinch clips. All you're going to do is pinch the two edges. It'll release, and then you'll be able to slide that bad boy off just like that. Alright, so the other two I did off camera. Just needed two hands to get it done. So I'll just kind of go back here and show you what I did. So you got one fill line that goes right here. Get this stupid line out of the way. So you can see the green connector and the blue connector. The blue connector is your inlet from the pump to the motor, and the green one is your return back to the tank. So you'll have a little bit of fuel drippage. Obviously there's still fuel in the line. But so this line goes right up to that blue connector. And all I did was just take a pair of needle nose pliers and you just pinch the two ends of the blue connector and you can pull that line off. And then same for the green one, you just pinch the two ends of the green connector and they'll slide right off. So we're disconnected and we're ready to pull the tank out. So we've got the fuel tank out of the car now. Next step is to get the pump removed. And I just want to say that I'm still only like 7 minutes into this job. It didn't take me very long at all to get this tank out. You know, obviously having the right tools for the job is always good, but this is a very simple job as far as tools go. So the first thing I like to do before I start pulling this pump and this pump ring is I like to clean the area of the tank off. What you don't want to do is drop a bunch of dirt and debris down inside the tank. So, you know, definitely just blow that off. If you got an air compressor, you know, get it all out of there. If not, clean it up with something. So as you start working, you're not dropping anything inside the tank there. Alright, so this is the easy part of the job. All you're going to need is a flathead and a hammer. And you just get on the edge here. You're going to knock that ring off. Done. Now the fuel pump is ready to come out. Don't. So I like to pull it out and kind of just shake it up a little bit. Let the fuel drain back inside there. This is a carrier for the fuel pump. So I don't like to just pull it all the way out just yet because you can see the fuel level. It's still got fuel inside there. So you can pull it back out. Let her drain out. Alright, so I'll get the other fuel pump out of the box here. See what we've got for a setup. They're pretty much identical. Only thing that I see that I need to put on is the sending unit. So the sending unit is this guy right here. It's a float, and what that does is your fuel level. So if it's all the way low, obviously your tank's empty. If it's floating high, your tank is full. So I'll get the float put on there. Pretty simple little setup. Drop that guy in there just in that hole. And make sure you set them up exactly the same. So we can see there that they're both on the same side. Once you're in there, just snap that guy in. Simple as that. And then the other thing, as this thing comes with new O-rings, new seals for around your pump. This one came with 2. So they obviously offer 2 different seals for this pump. So you can pull this one off. You can see that that one is a flat seal. And so we're going to use the flat seal for that pump. So lay that back in there. And we're going to drop her back down. Now definitely remember the orientation of which your fuel pump was in, because some of them have lineups where they can go right in where they need to be. Some of them you'll have to pay attention to. So we know ours came out right there. It's got 2 tabs that'll line up in there. You need to take this ring off the other pump and slide it back on there. Then you're just going to start working it back on. So I've got all the edges underneath the tabs. Same thing, take your hammer, screwdriver. And we're all the way on. It's all the way seated. All right. So we'll get ready for our next step. So for the next step here, on the fuel pump, they sent a different plug for the fuel pump. No big deal. So we're gonna go ahead and just wire that into the existing harness. This was the original fuel pump connector here. So you're just gonna need a couple simple tools, a set of wire strippers, wire cutters and crimpers, and then a torch to go along with these heat shrink bunk connectors. So they made this one pretty simple. All the colored wires go to the colored wires. Everything's exactly as it should be. So we've got a purple wire, gray wire, black wire, and a black with a white stripe wire. So we'll just go ahead and get these connected over real fast. And all right, so we're going to start by just stripping all the wires. And these ones we'll go ahead and just cut. I usually like to cut about 1 inch back, maybe 2 inches back. Don't ever cut right to the connector. For some reason that you need to go back and reuse this connector here, you want to give yourself some room to reattach it later on. So always give yourself a little extra length. And then we'll just go over here and strip these wires as well. Ooh, it got away from me. All right, now that they're all stripped, I like to twist them up just a little bit. Called a mechanical grip is what they call that. So when you go to put your butt connector on, all the wires are nice and tight with each other. So when you crimp it, they don't just smash down, and make it easier for the connector to pull off. It's pretty much as simple as that. So then they gave us 4 heat shrink butt connectors with the job. So obviously the pink ones are a little bit smaller, the blue ones are a little bit bigger, and you can see that the gauge wires are also smaller and bigger. So the pink ones are going to go on the smaller wires, and the blue ones will go on the bigger wires. So I'm just going to slide that right on there, give her a crimp. And then this is just personal preference for me. I like to get all the connectors put on the harness itself, or the connecting itself. Do one side at a time, so then you're not struggling. All right, so they're all connected on there now. We're just gonna go to the harness side and start matching up wires. So I've got my gray and my gray here. Simple, easy. If you're colorblind, get a friend. Now we got black with no stripe. So make sure we got the black with no stripe. Get in your hole. Now it's good to get yourself a good pair of strippers and a good pair of wire cutters. Better quality tools makes for a better job. Our last one, purple to purple. All right, now those are all pretty much connected. I like to take my torch and just heat shrink all these down. You can also put a shrink tube around these and cover up over those if you're worried about it. These butt connectors, I use them all the time. They're great. So I just trust that they shrink down good enough. And also you can use a little bit of electrical tape after you're all done shrinking. You can cover these with electrical tape if you're worried about it as well. These things shrink down really nice. I really like these butt connectors. Don't ever try to hit the actual wire, only be trying to get heat on the connector itself. You don't want to melt the casing around the wire. It'll give you fits in the future. And that is pretty much it. We are ready. We are hooked up and ready to start sliding the tank back underneath and getting this thing hooked back up. So the next step is I like to pull the fuel filter and get that changed out before we get the tank back in, because you can see there's just a lot of room for you to work without the tank in there. Makes it a little bit easier. So you're just gonna need a couple wrenches. I've got a 13/16 for this side, and I'm just gonna use a crescent wrench for this side. Simple and easy. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap those out. One thing that you do need to remember is on your new fuel filter, it didn't come with this blue clip. So you're gonna have to take this blue clip off of this filter and put it on your new one. So don't throw that away. So we've got our new filter on and we are ready to go. It was simple, easy. Swap that clip over. It only took me about 45 seconds to swap out. One thing to remember though is when you're undoing this, just watch your eyes. It is full of gas, so don't let nothing spray in your face. It's always a good idea when you're working underneath the car to have safety glasses. And there's a bunch of debris and dirt, fuel, things like that, so just keep yourself protected. So we'll get ready, we'll pull this tank back in and get it pushed back up there, and we'll catch back up with you. So we're ready to stick the fuel tank back up in there. So it's just gonna be easiest to fish the driver's side up in through here because there's an exhaust pipe there. So go ahead and just fish that in, and it's always easier with two people. If you can get on one side, have another buddy over there on the other side, help lift it up. Get it up in there, put your straps back on and your bolts back on, and we're about ready to go. So I'm gonna put the camera down, we'll get this back up in there, and we'll catch you with you in a second. So we are all complete. Tank's back in, everything's hooked back up. So you're pretty much just gonna reverse the order of what you did to take it out. Pretty simple, pretty easy. So what I like to do when I'm all done, just run back through, double check everything, make sure all your lines are plugged in, everything's good to go. Filler neck's back on with the clamp. So next, I'm gonna leave the car up in the air, but I'm gonna go ahead and just cycle the filter, or cycle the pump, and we're gonna go ahead and test the car and see if it starts. All right, so we're all done. We've got the fuel pump in, tank back in. So like I said, we'll just go in here, we'll put the key in the ignition. I'll cycle the key a few times. You can hear the fuel pump running. Before I do my first start, I always like to cycle the fuel pump, get some fuel up in the fuel rails. Once you get that all done, should fire right up. So let's go ahead and test it. Woo! Purrs like a kitten. So that's it, pretty much. The fuel pump is done. Only took us about 35 minutes total, tank in and out. So, I mean, easy to do in a driveway. All right, so we appreciate y'all guys watching the how to change a fuel pump in an 03 Malibu. Stay tuned for more how-to videos. We're gonna be getting a bunch more stuff in the shop on how to do all different types of things, so we'll keep posting them out there. We appreciate you guys watching. Catch you next time.